know it, but if you live in Seattle, there's a strong chance that you've been inside this building.
Look familiar now? We're at the Harvard Exit Theater, which is located on Harvard Avenue and East Roy Street in Capitol Hill. And when this building opened in 1926, it wasn't a movie theater, but it was home to one of the most notable women's clubs in Seattle, the Women's Century Club.
So in this MOHAI Minute, we're taking you behind the scenes to find out more about the club, its members, and why it was converted into a movie theater. Let's go.
Yeah.
Here we are in the lobby of the Harvard Exit Theater. There's the concessions with the popcorn here, and a bathroom has been added, but otherwise this room has remained the same as it did back in the 1920s when it still belonged to the Women's Century Club.
In fact, much of the art and furniture is original to the club, including this Steinway piano.
The WCC was founded back in 1891 under the leadership of the prominent suffragist and women's rights leader Carrie Chapman Catt. Catt left Seattle shortly after forming the WCC and was later elected to replace Susan B. Anthony as the president of the National American Woman Suffrage Association.
The purpose of the club, as is documented in this early history book, was for the intellectual culture, original research, and the solution of the altruistic problems of the day. We have to remember that when the club was founded in 1891, women couldn't vote, and they often faced discrimination in terms of educational or career opportunities.
Yeah, that's right. So the club provided opportunity for its members, who were mostly upper middle class white women, with a chance to come together and share their curiosity and intellect, some qualities that weren't necessarily associated with the so-called fairer sex at the time.
It's no surprise then that many of the WCC's members were highly accomplished, including local artist Emily Inez Denny, Alice Jordan Blake, who was the first woman to graduate from Yale Law School, and Bertha Knight Landis, Seattle's first and only female mayor.
During the first 2 decades of the 20th century, the club's membership grew rapidly, and they started thinking about getting their own clubhouse.
Yeah, up until that time, the club had met in various locations, mostly private homes, but also at Seattle's first public library, which had been located at the Yesler Mansion downtown, which burned to the ground.
So in 1924, the club decided to sell some lifelong membership certificates to raise money to build a new building. And here we have in MOHAI's archives one of those lifelong certificates that would be sold for $100 a piece. And this one is issued to H.A. Schroeder. So the groundbreaking of the club was really big news and covered by local newspapers, which the club's scrapbooks have preserved.
Like in this article, we see that the club president's daughter, Little Bottie McPherson, helped out that day with her own tiny spade, which is still part of the club's collection today. When the building opened in 1926, it included this auditorium, a library, a committee room, a conference room, apartments for the caretaker, and a ballroom, which has since been converted into this second theater on the building's upper level. You can see from the building's south wall that the windows, which would have once provided light to the ballroom, have now been boarded up to keep the theater dark.
Despite its popularity in the first half of the 20th century, club memberships declined in the 1960s, and the club struggled to remain relevant.
So in 1968, the WCC decided to sell this building to 2 guys who wanted to start an independent theater for artsy films. But as part of the contract, the club was guaranteed the right to meet here indefinitely.
It was at this time, as the club was being converted into a movie theater, that these theater seats that were originally in the club's auditorium were donated to MOHAI.
And back at the Harvard exit, we found these metal nameplates that show the names of club members and were once attached to those auditorium chairs.
So the club is still active today, meeting here at the Harvard exit on a regular basis and giving away a college scholarship every year to a young woman.
And if you're wondering why it's called the Harvard exit, it's easy. After watching a movie, you exit here on Harvard Avenue.